You know what? Today let's talk about the Lego Titanic. Whee! Ow! This is my Lego Titanic. It's probably the best thing that I have built, Lego-wise, and it's probably one of my most prized possessions. I love this thing. And something that a lot of people don't know about me is I am a Titanic freak. I love Titanic, everything about it. It could be the world's biggest. I am so much of a freak that if the opportunity arose for me to go to the Titanic, which costs $250,000. If I won the lottery tomorrow and it was for $250,000, I would absolutely waste every single cent and go down to the Titanic. It's just what I would do. I was trying to think earlier about what really started my either obsession or love for Titanic, and I honestly couldn't tell you. It just started when I was a kid, and it was something that just couldn't be stopped. I loved the movie, which came out a few years after I was born, and it just, every book I could find, every documentary I could watch, anything, pictures. I was on Google Earth looking at the 3D image when they first added them in, just looking at it and going, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. You could do, back in the day, you could do the flight simulator in Google Earth. You could do it underwater, and I would just fly around the Titanic and just look at it and just, oh my gosh, this is freaking amazing. And I still feel that way. So building this was just such an incredible experience. When I got it for just this last Christmas, when I got it, I was floored because I had been trying to save up for it for a while. Lego had come out with it, and the price, I was like, but I was like, I'm going to save for it. I'm going to get it eventually, and I saved for a year, and stuff comes up, and I wasn't able to buy it and everything. So when I opened it on Christmas morning, and it was from my mom and my stepdad, I was like, oh my gosh, I have it, it's mine. And I decided what was right was April 14th of this year, I decided that's when I'm going to build it. So it was a Saturday morning. I woke up early. I put on Titanic on my screen, in my new apartment, and I decided I was going to start building it. And it probably took me a solid 48 hours, not consecutively, but 48 hours combined to build this. And it is immense. It's almost 10,000 pieces, and there's just so much detail. When you look at it, you go, wow, that's really, really cool. That's really nice. And it is. But there's just so much detail that goes into it, and it serves not only for me to remember the thing that I love, but to remember also those who never got to see it like this, and ultimately those who had to see it like this for the last time, which I can't imagine. Now, something that's really cool is that you would think, oh, did you just build this in one piece? No. So this actually pretty conveniently gets split into three boxes that are like this, and I love just the regular box of this. It's almost as good as the actual model. Just seeing that box just makes me happy, which is why I haven't put it away somewhere. You start with the front half, then you have the middle half, which is arguably the largest, and then you start with the back. So this is the bow, and this is the stern. Now, it always confused me because I thought the bow would be the back because of the B, but it's not. That's just not the way words work. I'm sorry. But as you can see, these antenna lines, now these were primarily used not only to hold up the mast, but it also had the current of sending out any telegrams or anything like that, Morse code, all of that. So these look nice, but there's a purpose to them as well, and it's not just to hold up these masts. But because of how this is designed, all you have to do is pull this thing and everything loosens up, and I can take off this little piece right here. Boom, and there it is. And it's apart now. Now, it was made so specifically because they wanted it to be beautiful to look at, immensely large. However, they also wanted it to be easy to take apart. So you just grab this little piece right here, and you pull up. Comes out very easily. And then this is a little harder because it's sort of meant to stay there, but the front comes off. So we're just going to move this down a little bit. It's good. It's not going to sink. Wow, boy, that was a bad joke. Now, the detail in this alone, and the weight, honestly, has always been immense to me. And I'm going to show you here, actually, real quick. See if I can get some good camera angles on this. So, I've got the flash here. Obviously, this is one of the funnels. And here is the grand staircase. So, you can see as you go up and down, I mean, there's the swimming pools right there. These are some of the boilers. I mean, it's just so cool and so detailed. I mean, as you're building it, you sort of question, like, oh, what is this? And I believe these white pieces might be beds, or they're just sort of desks. But I mean, this would be where some of the dining would have taken place. And down here, you know, as you get lower, you start to get to some of the third class, but none of the third class would have been up here. They would have been more in the middle, which we'll look at in a second. But yeah, there's a swimming pool, and I mean, it's so immense and detailed. I do enjoy pretty much just every single part of this. The grand staircase did look different than I thought it would, but I still loved it. But I mean, just the detail in general, I mean, it's just, I mean, that's a cargo crane, and you have where, you know, they would have had the wheel, and you have some lifeboats, and you start getting some of those. I mean, it's just immense to see it this way, and I just the details of it are just so incredible, and that was probably one of my favorite parts about building it. So as you look at the second part, you see some more dining areas, some more living areas. That's where you start having some second class areas, another pool, and it's just, well, I guess that would be the same pool, just connected in a different spot. Then you have some of the coal areas, the actual sort of coal burners. It's just so detailed and amazing, and I love it. I mean, I even love the lifeboats, and there's the exact number of lifeboats that they actually had, which was 20. Unfortunately, it was not enough, but it's still incredible to look at. So, now that you're back over here, you see some of these hookups, and you actually start to lift this one up, same as the other one. And you need a little more because the size is a little different. There we go. And you start to get the second big piece. And of course, you start to see the engines right here, which were massive and are still at the bottom of the ocean that you can see almost perfectly. It's one of the reasons that they really found out, like, oh, this is the Titanic. So yeah, you can turn it this way. Just the size of it is just immense. I mean, and the weight alone is crazy to me. But it's so beautiful, and you get to see, like, this little piece right here. This is where the grand staircase was. They weren't able to actually make it look how it looks inside, which is just this immense sort of round rotunda. But it's still cool nonetheless. It's just so detailed. So of course you have more walking and dining areas. Then you start getting into some of the first class, second class, and third class down below. And then right under that would be the engines. Could you imagine being in one of these places and hearing the... I'm sure you were able to hear them. But yeah, those were some of the third class areas right there. And it's crazy to think that there's like... just they're that close. Like, you wouldn't think that they'd be that close at all. And you can actually see. So, like, it is, for the most part, I mean, it is solid. It is absolutely solid. But you can look inside and see that it is, for the most part, hollow, actually. But that's where the engines would go. Yeah. Two of my favorite facts that I would like to share with you are that all four of these aren't functional. So one of them was not functional. I believe it was this one. That this one was not actually functional. They added it on at the end as an aesthetic. And cruise ships do that to this day. A lot of the Disney cruises, they will have a second one when they only needed one. And the second one, they'll put like a teenage hangout spot inside of, which I got to go to, and that was crazy. And usually there's a slide that you can go down through it, and it's just awesome. But the whole reason that they did it was aesthetic reason. And they were just like, 4 makes sense. 3, that's bad luck. Let's not do that. Which ultimately didn't help them in the end, unfortunately. My second favorite fact is sort of a long-winded one, but its sister ship, the Olympic, Right before this was done in 1910 and 11, it started to get into some accidents. Some accidents happened. Another ship hit into the side of it. So it would have hit just about right here, and it gashed. It put 2 giant gashes in right there, and it messed up some of the propellers even. It was a massive issue. So to fix it, they were able to fix it just real quick and then send it back to Southampton, and they were able to work on it. And one of the things they needed to do was they needed to stop working on the Titanic, which was still being created, postpone its release date, its maiden voyage, and they needed to put one of the propellers on because one of the propellers had busted so badly, which is interesting because it got pushed back. Then there was another accident with the Olympic. And when that happened, they once again needed to put the Titanic on hold, which eventually put it on the trajectory course of being where it was that night. Now, a whole bunch of stuff had to happen that night as well, included, not having the binoculars that they needed, the fact that they were cruising fast. They were cruising as fast as they possibly could because they wanted to get where they needed to get even faster. They wanted to get there the day before. One of the ship creators and one of the owners of White Star Line, he sort of pushed. Reports say he pushed. I believe he probably pushed because he was a really arrogant guy. But he pushed, the Captain Smith, to sort of hey, push that last boil. Wouldn't it be cool if we showed up the day before and they're like, oh my gosh, this is the best ship ever. And yeah, I mean, it baffles me why they did that. But so many things had to go wrong for this to happen, this disaster. But so many things happened, and then it happened. So it's crazy to think about. And of course, you get to see just some of the detail. I mean, these are the decks that they would have played the last song, the famous band, Near My God to Thee. And I mean, there's just so much detail. I like the seats. Those are my favorite parts. So every time I made one, I was giddy because I was like, this is the seat of the Titanic. And of course, here is all the detail. It's just so cool, all the cranes and whatnot. And it's just such a shame that I may never get to see this. I would give literally anything to see the Titanic. It's just to be there in that little boat and watching it as it came up, as you came through the dark waters and it was there. That would mean the world. So I hope one day to be able to do that. The ship is slowly disintegrating because of bacteria that remains on it, and because of how deep it is and also how old it is, because it's 111 years old. Because of those factors, there is no way of bringing it up. Now, the largest piece that was ever recovered from the Titanic rests in a casino sort of museum area in Las Vegas, and I would love to go there. I plan on going there someday. Someday, probably soon-ish. I would say within the next 5 years, I'll see it. But that would be amazing just to see that. And I've gone to so many different Titanic museums, and it's just always such an enriching experience because you get to learn something new. You'll never know it all. It's just not the way it is. Thank you to my mom and my stepdad for giving me this experience. And now I get to see it all the time. I get to look over, and there it is. And when people come over to my place, they get to see it. They look at it, look at the detail of it, and it's just the best thing I've ever built. And I don't know that, I'm going to have fun making all my other Lego sets through the years, but nothing will ever get to this level. But I hope you enjoyed watching this. I am always up for talking about the Titanic, but I don't want to just bore you guys too much with it. I hope you were jealous of how cool this Titanic is. I know I would be. So I'm happy that I finally have it. And I guess we'll have to see what we're up to next time. I will give you a hint. It's going to be a cool video next week. Let's go! Bye.